Welcome back, Raising Real Estate Standards. Hope everybody is doing well. Brian, hope you're doing well.
I am.
Fantastic. So we're getting into a time of the year, and I don't even want to say a time of the year, a time in our market, a cyclical time in our market right now, where things are starting to slow down a little bit. Mm-hmm. Pace is not as rapid. Things are not going quite as fast. People have come back from vacations, and their worlds were turned upside down for so long and going in a lot of different directions. And the conversations I'm having with agents are Mark, things are slow. This is odd.
Yeah, I think people are waiting. They're waiting to see. We still have an inventory issue. You know, we've got mortgage rates have fallen a little bit. And, you know, when you have that, you have the situation where it's like, well, let me wait until next week. Next week's interest rates may be lower than this week's. So you just kind of have the wait and see attitude with the real estate market right now.
Sure, and I think that's just a consumer confidence, consumer sentiment type of situation. A lot of people are like, as you mentioned, we had the interest rate drop. Both mortgage interest rates fell prior to the Federal Reserve starting their rate reduction process. I'm not sure when you guys are listening to this, but they started that process with a large 50 basis point reduction. And a lot of times people think, oh my gosh, they just did this huge interest rate reduction. Things are going to go through the roof. Well, in a normal sense, you would think that would happen, but typically what you have is you don't have that kind of a V turnaround in the market. Usually it's, as I've heard on a lot of financial channels, it's a kind of a J bounce. And what that means is the folks are, the interest rates reduce, and then people just kind of sit and kind of get stagnant to see if there's going to be any more reduction, and then ultimately they do re-enter the market, and you start to see the market kind of bounce back. You mentioned inventory. Inventory is, you said is an issue. Inventory right now is going up, which is a good thing.
Yep.
I think in our market, we've seen from the depths of the low of inventory, we've seen about a 350, 400% increase in the amount of homes on the market back from when it was at its lowest point. So we are seeing it come back. We're not at a buyer's market. We're not in a situation where inventory has turned around to where it was, earlier, 10 years ago, but it's definitely turned around for the good. I mean, I heard someone say that we're kind of in a situation where the market may, we're still in a seller's market, but it may creep up and enter into a balanced market for a short period of time. And then ultimately it's probably going to come back down to a seller's market. We're still at a influx of new homes being built has not caught up to the number of new households coming into the market.
Yeah, and before you go any further, talk about what a balanced market is, because a lot of people, especially that are out there in our world today, have no earthly idea what a balanced market is, because we've been in a seller's market for the last 10 years?
Yeah, absolutely. So in a strictly math generated term, it's roughly about three. A buyer's market is 0 days on market up to about 4.5 to 5 months. That's kind of that, different people say different things. And then you have that 4.5 to 5 months of days on market, how long it takes to sell your house on average, to 6 months is that kind of balanced market. And then once you get above, say, 7 months, you're really truly into a buyer's market. So as your days on market kind of fluctuate up, and you get into call it 120 to 150 days on market, you're really in a balanced market. Where are we? We're currently at about 45 to 50 days on market where we are. So we're not even close
Did you say 150 days on market?
150. I understand that a lot of
And the
agents.
people are crazy right now thinking they can't sell a house.
Correct. Yeah. And, people that put their house on the market and it doesn't sell within the first 14 days, and they're doing 30% price reductions because they think the world's coming to an end. That's not necessarily actions that are based in reality. A lot of times, sometimes they're just we've been in a position for so long that we think it's normal, but we've just been in a prolonged sellers, hyper sellers market that people feel weird when it's not moving really, really quick.
Yeah, I highlight that, and I mention that to specifically bring out expectations. We've lived in this world of expectations of putting something on the market and selling it immediately, and we are in the process. We're not quite there yet, but we're in the process of getting back to where this market was, historically, where it's historically been. So
No doubt. And I think the biggest thing is setting expectations. Us as agents, it's important for us to set expectations, and I'm going to stop there. With ourselves first, you need to look into the mirror and set an expectation of what is actually going on in the market and what the reality is of when you go to sell a home or you're a buyer's agent. And once you have to do research. You have to know the market. You can't just walk into there just feeling a feeling of whatever based on how I've done things in the past 2 years. No, look and understand the market and then set a perspective of what should happen with this property. If I price it appropriately, the market's saying it's going to sell in 50 to 60 days. Well, on day 14, when your client calls and says, "Oh my gosh, it's not selling, what's going on?" Well, don't set your hair afire along with them.
yeah.
I mean, somebody's got to be the cool, calm, and collective person, and it's you that needs to do that. And so set the perspective with yourself of what it should be. And then when you do that, you need to turn around and set that same expectation with your clients so that they don't go set their hair afire and they come at you again in 14 days and then think, why is the world falling apart? Guys, it's about knowing your market. It's about understanding, the number of buyers that are in it, the number of homes that are for sale, and how many homes are selling at a particular point in time. If you don't have that information, you're basically, pulling from, shooting from your hip pocket without even looking to see what's going on in the market. And ultimately, what does that mean? And what does the client feel when that happens? They feel anxiety. They feel, not necessarily given the best advice. And ultimately, you as an agent look like an amateur. Mm-hmm. If you can't set perspectives to folks or change and give correct information for them to be able to understand what's going on, you look like an amateur because you went in there and said, "Oh, I'll get your house sold. I'll sell it for the highest thing anything sold in that neighborhood in the past 400 years, and I'm going to do it in a day and a half." When reality is, price may have adjusted a little bit for the neighborhood. You're not able to get maximum dollar in a short period of time. And really, it's okay. We got to price it right, and hopefully, and the market will bear to us a buyer within an average period of time, which right now is about 45 to 60 days.
Yeah. So you hit on something. I want to make sure we go back and hone in on. I mean, so I've always real estate transactions are traditionally the most have the most, what am I trying to say here? It's the most difficult thing out there. There's a lot of things that can go into it, a lot of complex,
They're
yeah.
very complex.
And the anxiety, you hit on that. And us as a real estate agent, our job is to make sure that the transaction goes as smooth as possible. And we know it's not always going to go as smooth as possible. However, it is our job to calm the situation, to make sure not everybody that is dealing with the anxieties on either side, we got to make sure they stay calm. So it's bringing that to the table, bringing those conversations, bringing those expectations to the table. So now back up again, and I want to go back down a road you were on. What are some of these conversations agents should be having with their clients when their anxiety is, hey, why is my house not selling in a week?
I'm going to step back for a second. You hit on something, and it is something that is contrary to the typical real estate agent. When you look at if you put real estate agents as a whole into a bucket, calm, cool, and collective is not typically a characteristic trait that goes with highly productive salespeople.
True.
And a lot of these people are highly emotional because they're able to connect with their clients on an emotional level that a lot of people can't. A lot of accountants and a lot of engineers can't connect with their clients on an emotional level the way that real estate agents can, because they're not necessarily wired to be able to read the room and to be able to get down into those conversations like a lot of our salespeople. On the same note, it's very difficult not to engage in the emotional aspect of our clients' anxieties and fears and things that just cause chaos in a transaction. It's almost an innate personality trait to get involved in that and get in the middle of that. And so I'm going to say it's time to understand when that's your innate personality type, you have to be very purposeful with, I'm not going down that road. I am absolutely going to buck my personality trait, and I'm going to be the calm, cool, and collective and make this work. That's where you're able to really add a lot of value into the transaction that wouldn't normally be there, that your other folks in the business find difficulty in doing. But back to what you said, what conversations can you have? If you're having a conversation in the middle of a listing, that's a different conversation that you're having at the kitchen table before they put the sign in front of the yard.
Yep.
Okay? So we'll work backwards. Sign's already in front of the yard. It's 14 days later. There's been one showing, and they said it smelled like cats in your house. That's the only thing that's happened, and you don't have cats, which is kind of a weird situation. But the conversation, they're coming to you and they're saying, what do we do? What do we do? First and foremost, I need you to look at your market and really see, A, where are you priced? Are you really priced appropriately? 2, what is the average days on market? If the average days on market where you are and where this and not just the market as a whole, your city, your MLS as a whole, but down to that particular neighborhood. If that particular neighborhood is something that is less or more than the where you are, be patient. You need to have that conversation. You need to go into that that call with that client, and you need to just say, hey, this is what the market is. We might not have talked about this when you first listed it, but here's where we are. You're not out of the realm. You're not out of the average at this point. This is what the price point is. This is what is a good price point. And, here's the days on market. Lay out the perspective at that point. And then you have to let them know to be patient. This is not something that getting impatient is going to be able to help them or whatever. If their house is overpriced, get it priced appropriately. That is the time to be able to get it priced appropriately. If you went in knowing it was high and now their anxiety is high, get them to where they need to be.
That's a difficult conversation.
It is a difficult conversation.
That's, when you come to, and I know we're working backwards, but when you come to the table and everybody's agreeing on a price, and then I have to make a price adjustment or reduction, then that seller's like, I haven't planned on getting less for my house.
Sure, and for those that have not had this conversation in the past, for those that have been in the business since 2019, and you've never had a price reduction conversation, it's difficult. Mm-hmm. It's difficult. But it starts with the facts. Start with the facts. The fact is, a house will sell at a given price at a given time period. We don't know what the price is, but we don't know what the time period is. However, we do know there is an inverse relationship to the two. The lower the price the quicker I'm going to get it sold in a normal market. And so you have to have that conversation, and you have to say, okay, what's most important to you? Is how quickly you get your house sold, or is the time in which you get it sold the most important thing? And usually it's not 100% either one. Usually it's a both.
Right.
But then you really have to dig in, and you start to have to ask more questions about what really is more important, and then we'll tweak one of them. If it's the price, well, then you have to tweak the conversation with your clients. It says, okay, then you need to be prepared to be patient. If you need, 105% of what we really need to be at, then you're going to have to be patient. It's going to take a little bit longer to get your house sold. If time is more important, okay, well, we might need to be at 97% of what the normal thing is, the normal price point would be. So it's having those conversations, and it's, to be honest with you, it's having, as much as a tough conversation, being blunt and honest with people, I have found, is a lot more receptive than dancing around the question. That kind of brings us back to the having that question up front. Guys, know your market. Know your market, know your market, know your market. If you're seeing listings that you have stay on the market longer, maybe you need to research your market a little bit better. Maybe your understanding of the market isn't exactly where it needs to be. If you're not getting, if your pricing seems to be odd or off, have a conversation with someone that's doing a good job. What are you not looking at? Look in the mirror and say, you know what, maybe I don't know something. That's okay, ask. And so delve in, figure out where the pricing needs to be, and then go into that conversation with your clients before they put it on the market. And it's, guys, we're not where we were when you bought this house in 2021. We're not, find out what something's worth and raise it 10% and 47 people are going to come buy it. That's not where we are. We're not going back to that. And, oh, by the way, you need to be prepared to understand what to do in a market where you need to sell a home. So, yeah.
So, I mean, pretty much, I would say this is kind of what everybody needs to hear out there today. It's all about expectations. We're getting to the point where we can't just fly by the seat of our pants in this business. And we have to have expectations on all sides. We have to understand the quality conversations we're having, and then understand the calmness that we need to bring to the table.
100%. There's a lot more to this other than just the market, just the pricing and just having good conversation with sales. But that's a whole lot. There's a lot into that. There's also, what am I doing to generate business in this market? How am I setting myself above? And I'm not getting caught up into the social media, fake game that a lot of people are playing. Really, let's figure out how I'm getting my business. What am I doing? And there's that's probably another episode that we can delve down. But I would just say this, guys: if whatever you're doing, whatever has worked in the past, double down on it. Be consistent. Know your market, and I really do think the end of this year of 2024, the tail end of this and the start of 2025 is going to be a really, really good year. The wind is at your back from a financial situation, from a getting through the really nasty and just unstable parts that go through with an election. And once we get through that, I think you're going to find that the things kind of turn a little bit, where the wind's been in our face for so long with a high interest rate market. Things are going to be in a downward rate environment with a lot of other good positive things. Make sure you're doing the right things consistently and take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's time to position yourself, and maybe we'll talk about that next time.
Absolutely. All right, guys, y'all have a great one.